Welcome to the So Weird podcast. I'm Emily.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Kat.
And tonight we are very excited to be inviting a listener on. You may recognize him from our holiday episodes recently. He contributed to the fan videos. Please welcome Billy. Hey, Billy.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
So we're so excited to have Billy on for this episode where we're talking about Secrets of Sulphur Springs and the second season of the Are You Afraid of the Dark revival, because Billy is very into modern Disney Channel. Is that correct, Billy? Would you say that's true?
Yeah, that's pretty much true. I watch, well, not all the shows, but a few of them. So
just before we get started, you want to tell everyone how you got into So Weird?
yeah, I saw like a video. I think it was Miss Mojo. There was like a video, and it was mentioned. I think it was like shows to be brought back, and then I like saw there was like full episodes on YouTube, but then I just kind of forgot about it. So then when Disney Plus came out, I saw that it was on there, and then I was like, okay, so now it's time to watch it.
So the first time you watched So Weird was when it was on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
That is so cool. We love to hear about people discovering the show in the last couple of years, and you're not the only one, but thanks for being so involved in our fandom.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
As I said, we will be discussing Secrets of Sulphur Springs and Are You Afraid of the Dark, but to start, I thought we'd get into a little bit of the latest So Weird news. So some of you guys who might subscribe to us on iTunes or through Spotify may be thinking, I haven't heard from these guys in a while. What's going on? Well, actually, we have been putting out some material lately, but you may not have caught us because it was on YouTube, or we advertised what we were doing on social media. So just a general reminder to follow us on our social media pages. We're on Twitter. It's So Weird on Disney. And we're on YouTube as well. If you search for the So Weird podcast, you will definitely find us on there. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/SoWeirdOnDisney, as well as Tumblr, SoWeirdOnDisney.tumblr.com. And we're also on Instagram. So what have we been doing lately?
There was the reading earlier that I was not actually involved in, because tests and all.
Yeah, but even before that, we did a live chat, which was really fun on YouTube. We need to do those more often. Yeah, I think so. We've done a couple live chats now over the last year. The latest was, I guess, a couple weeks ago, and we got together with fans and
John
just
Wiseman
talked about.
showed up. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. And also, we just kind of talked about what our plans are for, future episodes for the podcast, and got some input from other fans. It was a really fun time. And again, thank you to everyone who showed up for that. Actually, one of the ideas we talked about was doing script readings for some of the episodes for the scripts that we have accumulated over the years. So I guess, was it last week?
So
last week, yeah, we had our first script reading, and we read the script for Banshee, and Kat was our fee during that, which was awesome. She did a great job.
And so, Emily was Grandma Kathleen with her perfect Irish accents.
Oh, no, don't go that far. But how did you feel about it, Kat? How did you feel about doing that?
It was so much fun and such a great way to re-experience the show, especially since it wasn't the script that we see performed. It was like the original script with the original idea of Fee sacrificing her life for her grandpa. I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah, I still have to watch it. I just have not had the energy to watch it lately.
Well, it was definitely fun. It was really cool because we did it live on YouTube. So fans were listening in and commenting as we went along and talking about the changes that were in the script from what actually aired on the show. We had 2 listeners on to take on some of the roles. So Patrick from Behind the Ears and is Behind the Magic. That's his new name for his channel. He was on as Grandpa, and Jackie, another fan and listener, was on as Molly, and they both did an amazing job. We're really excited about this idea, and a lot of fans seem to enjoy it. So that's why you should be following us on social media, because that's how we're going to get the word out about the script readings. And that's how we're going to, let people know that we're looking for people to fill the roles in the script. So you all may end up being involved. You may get to play someone when we read the scripts if you'd like.
Also, the Discord. I don't think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll post the link to our Discord in the description on YouTube so people can find us on there. And yeah, we do have a discussion going on with other fans on there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there have actually been a lot of people joining there lately.
Yeah, I think that we did send out the link recently on Twitter. So otherwise, there have been updates to the So Weird forum as well. I was able to buy the script for Nightmare on eBay, and you can find the script on our forum. We also have scripts for some of the other episodes now. We have a new one for Family Reunion that Derek, one of the listeners, shared with us. So definitely check out the forum as well. We keep updating it when we get new information. Oh, and John Cooksey has been tweeting, and it's been a big deal. What has John Cooksey been talking about?
His rewatch was so weird.
Yeah, I guess we
finally
haven't
went back to it and saw the entire thing, and my heart. His tweeting about it hit me so hard in the feels.
I know, especially when he talked about watching Rebecca, and he said that it made him cry, and he actually had to stop watching. Oh, I understand. I remember in our interview, he didn't realize that was a fan favorite, and I'm wondering now if he understands why it is.
Yeah.
He also shared with us the twin code that Rachel and Rick have in the twin episode. So, we've been trying to piece that together for years. And then John Cooksey one day is just like, hey, here it is. So, yeah, now we have
emailed him and asked him for it. He would have given it to us.
Well, we've bugged him about it so much over the years.
I remember a couple years ago, I was in a public speaking class, and I was actually my first speech in that class was basically about So Weird and how it influenced my life. And I actually asked him if I can get anything about the show to use as a prop. And he sent me so much stuff, and I'm like, I should email him all the time.
Well, that's the thing. I think at some point maybe we started feeling like, oh, we're bugging him. Yeah. He doesn't give that impression at all. He is so generous, but we have asked a lot of him. So, but you
can tell he still loves the show so much.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he mentioned watching Twin and how his feelings about not being able to give us the ending that he had planned in the season 3 he had planned.
But he did share with us that ending that they originally wrote.
And another thing that he shared with us is that he thinks he has a VHS copy of the original ending somewhere in his storage closet. How do we feel about this? Because when I heard, I started to kind of freak out.
Yeah, that's big.
The chances of us actually seeing it someday have exponentially grew.
Yeah. I mean, basically when I heard, I was like, John, you know what? I will fly to wherever your storage closet is. I will help you clean it out, because it sounds like he's just like, it's in there, but I don't know how I'm going to find it. And it's like,
we're going to go treasure hunting as soon as the pandemic's over.
Yeah.
We'll help him out. We'll help him set up a garage sale.
that is so exciting to me and just gives me a little bit of hope that maybe we'll actually see that someday. Even though, I mean, we've been doing this for almost 5 years now, we still have stuff to talk about related to So Weird and new information we're getting, and it's just really exciting. So that's our little update on what's going on in the fandom. But anyway, tonight we wanted to talk about 2 shows that I think the So Weird fandom might be interested in. And I guess we'll start first with Secrets of Sulphur Springs, because that is a Disney Channel show. At one point, it was being described as Disney Channel's first sci-fi mystery series by Entertainment Tonight. So obviously this pertains to So Weird fans. And because, that's not true. But it definitely does have similarities to So Weird. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, yes.
And all of us have watched it. So go ahead, Melissa.
It's actually kind of insane how many similarities it has to So Weird. It's not like in every episode. Like, I think the similarities kind of dip off around maybe episode 4 or 5, and then come back in full force by episode 9. And it was really fun to watch and try to like scour the crew and see if there's anybody who worked on So Weird, because I'm convinced everybody there was a fan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, somebody had to work on there, but no, nobody did.
I guess before we get into the actual show, I wanted to go into the history of the show and how it became developed, because I think that's relevant to So Weird fans too. So we actually first became aware of the show on the podcast all the way back in June of 2019. Someone sent us a link to an article from Deadline that had been written May 7th, 2019. And back then the show was just called Sulphur Springs, not Secrets of Sulphur Springs. Actually, it was originally developed as a pilot, or a potential pilot for Disney Channel, but then it was pitched to Disney Plus and was given a cast contingent series order. So basically they had to go on a search for the cast, and if they couldn't find who they wanted, then Disney Plus wasn't going to pick it up. And in fact, they tried to cast for the show for several months. They weren't getting any results. So the show was sent back to Disney Channel. And then casting continued. I guess something that kind of interested me from this article was that they described Secrets of Sulphur Springs as Stranger Things like supernatural drama for the younger set. Do we think that's a fair description?
I think so, because that is the modern day equivalent to like the X-Files, and how So Weird always got compared to the X-Files at the time. Like Stranger Things is like the supernatural show of this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never actually seen Stranger Things, so I can't really give a judgment.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching Dark on Netflix. I don't know if you all have seen Dark, but I have to say that I think Secrets of Sulphur Springs is more like Dark than it is Stranger Things. And I'm not going to get into why, because it's kind of spoilery for Dark. But yeah, I've just been watching it the last week, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I just watched this in Secrets of Sulphur Springs. But anyway, to continue, so that article was written May 7th, 2019. We brought it up on the podcast in June of 2019, and we were all like, cool, this kind of sounds like something, like they're moving towards doing something. It's kind of similar, just So Weird. That's good. And then October 2019, Disney Channel picked up Sulphur Springs pilot to series with an 11-episode order. And we found out in that article that the show was created by Tracy Thompson, who has written for several different soap operas like General Hospital, All My Children, and The Young and the Restless. And she also has written and executive produced for Secrets of Sulphur Springs. So she's not just the creator. And then the executive producer and showrunner, Chuck Pratt has also written for a variety of soap operas, and he's pretty well known in the soap opera community. Here's another interesting quote from this article from Deadline. It's from the VP of Original Series on Disney Channel, Jonas Agan. They say, Sulphur Springs is a truly genre-bending mystery that will help redefine the types of stories we tell on our network. It's a chilling, heartfelt, funny adventure that we can't wait for our audience to tune into. And I just thought that was really interesting, that they're hoping the show will help redefine the types of stories we tell on our network, because you know, when So Weird aired, it felt like the network redefined itself after So Weird went off the air, and now they're
During So Weird.
redefining.
Yeah.
Yes. And now they're redefining themselves again with this new show. How do you feel about that, Billy?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because So Weird is such a, big thing, for the network, and then they moved on to sitcoms for a while, and then now they're going back to this style, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think part of what they were saying about the redefining the types of stories we tell. I know that in one of the articles I found, it mentioned that basically they wanted to have a serialized television show, which hadn't been done on Disney Channel before, apparently, and that's what they got from Secrets of Sulphur Springs.
Yeah.
And we can get into that more. So then there was another quote in the now infamous Entertainment Tonight article, at least in my mind. We also got a quote from Tracy Thompson, the creator of Secrets of Sulphur Springs. As a parent, I know the challenge of trying to find something everyone in the family will enjoy watching together. The idea behind Secrets of Sulphur Springs was to create a show that isn't too scary for younger viewers, but has enough suspense to keep older kids and even their parents guessing. With endless twists and turns, Secrets of Sulphur Springs is a spooky, fun adventure that will have the entire family on the edge of their seats. Which I, again, find interesting because something we've talked about on this podcast is how So Weird was something that parents and their children could enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, you can basically, put So Weird in the place of the Sulphur Springs and it would be a fitting review for So Weird as well.
Exactly. So, when I saw this article, I was getting pretty excited about the potential for this show. I saw another interview with the creators on SoapCentral.com. Chuck Pratt, who was the showrunner for this Secrets of Sulphur Springs, said in the Soap Central article, Tracy had come up with characters and situations that were just right for secrets and lies. And the parents, it was kind of essential for me that the parents have a bit of a story arc and be attached to the central mystery, which was completely tied in when we went forward. That was probably the easiest thing for us and the most difficult thing for Disney Channel to relate to. But they totally believed in us and they loved the results. Again,
I find that really telling. Like the fact that was something so difficult for Disney to do. And that does show in what they've been producing since So Weird. And how every show seems to portray the adults as bumbling idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the things we've talked about over and over again on the podcast is how great So Weird was for, developing the adult characters as well as the children. So, again, hearing this quote, I was just like, I am all ears. This sounds really interesting. So that is the history of the show. It's time to get into our review. We'll start with a little synopsis of the show. The show is about a boy named Griffin whose family moves to Louisiana. His dad has bought a supposedly haunted hotel called the Hotel Tremont. It's believed to be haunted by the ghost of a girl named Savannah who disappeared 30 years ago. And they emphasize 30 years ago like it's a long time ago, but I'm 30 years old. But anyway, so he meets up with a girl named Harper and they become friends. She kind of wants to investigate the hotel And during their investigations, I believe this is in the very first episode of the show, they find a portal to the past. General thoughts about the show. What were your first impressions after viewing this?
Okay, initially, first episode, as well as like a second episode, I got major Fee vibes from Harper, and also I kind of compared Griffin a little bit to Jack as well as Annie. I don't know. It just seems like he's like a combination of those characters in a way, especially very early on. And I just love that dynamic where Harper was like all in, and then Griffin, he was definitely resistant to believing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely picking up on the so weird vibes in the
Yeah.
in the first viewings. What about you, Billy? How did you feel about the show?
Yeah, I was like, after watching it, since on Disney Channel they had they took the first three and just like combined them, so it was a bit different, but it's really cool to see like this, this like so weird like coming back in like a way. But and it's really like does keep you on like the edge of your seat kind of, because it's very like what's gonna happen, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And you, Kat, you just watched it recently, and actually your viewing
Yes.
experience has been different from the rest of us because you were able to binge the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the reason why I held off so long is because I had really low hopes for this show. Just because I don't trust Disney Channel. Like, I've been festering a grudge against Disney Channel ever since they took So Weird off the air. I have beef with Disney Channel. It's not going away. But my overall impressions with this show is that it's so much better than I was expecting. I went into it thinking, okay, Haunted Hotel, this is probably going to be like some hokey, corny version of Tower of Terror. But it wasn't. It felt more like the beginning of Hocus Pocus, where the entire town, or at least the kids, take a ghost story for face value and they're like, oh yeah, it's true, and absolutely everybody believes it except the main character. Which I love Hocus Pocus, so this was right up my alley. And the entire storyline, it's interesting enough to keep your attention going and keep you guessing even when you're above the target audience. I didn't watch it alone. I watched it with my older sister, and she got completely sucked into it as well. My initial plan was to just watch a couple episodes a night, but then she got really into it and was like, let's keep going. I'm into this. So we pitched it into 2 sessions instead. But every episode does leave you wanting to see more, and I was disappointed when I got to the ending and realized that's it for now.
I know that finale was a good one, and we'll get into that later. We'll get into some spoilers later, but we'll warn you all when we're gonna start getting into that. So, for me, I also watched the premiere, which was 3 episodes in one, and yeah, I was surprised by how much I liked it. I kind of went into it like you, Kat. I was a little skeptical, despite all of the quotes I'd been seeing that were interesting. I was just like, I don't know. Let's keep my hopes low. But honestly, there hasn't been a lot to watch in the pandemic or a lot to do. But it got to a point where, I was watching WandaVision and Secrets of Sulphur Springs on Friday nights. Weeks in a row. And it was so fun. I would anticipate not just WandaVision, but actually watching Secrets of Sulphur Springs, because all of the episodes end on some kind of cliffhanger. They introduce new clues. And you're just trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And I even tweeted out some of my predictions, and they were like fails, kind of. But honestly, it was a fun show to watch with my sister, both way above the target audience, and just kind of speculate about what was going on with the ghost and Savannah and the shady adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything else we want to say that's, spoiler free? What kind of similarities would you say the show has with So Weird that are spoiler free?
I don't think I can get into it and not have spoilers.
I've got a few that
Yeah.
are pretty spoiler free.
Okay.
So
Go
I
ahead, Kat.
agree with Melissa that at first Griffin does come off a lot like Jack, where he's kind of skeptical, the logical one who needs to test theories. He does not take the time travel at face value. He needs to test it to make sure it's legit before he accepts it. And I was just like, oh, little baby Jack, that's exactly what you would do. And Harper is definitely the Fiona of the show. She's driven to solve mysteries, even if she has to run off, disobey her mom to do it. And her family life is reminiscent of the Phillips. She has a brother, although this one's younger than she is, and a single mom, and her dad passed away when she was young, just like Fee. And then her mom, Jess, reminds me so much of Molly, still torn up over losing her husband after all these years, keeping secrets about her past because she worries about her kids getting hurt. She's a bit more overprotective discipline-wise. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Molly actually punish Fee for, like, running off or sneaking out, unless you count the possession by Brick Brew, in which she was confined to her room for an episode. But Jess gives off Molly vibes. She even calls Harper baby all the time, and every time she does, I'm like, oh, Molly, her spirit lives on.
Yeah, I happened to rewatch the first couple of episodes over the weekend, and I don't know why I didn't see the Molly Jess connection before. Maybe because I was like paying too much attention to her like past self. But yeah, when I was rewatching the first couple episodes, I totally saw the connection. I'm like, why didn't I see this before?
I guess, some other non-spoilery things I thought were kind of reminiscent of So Weird. So Harper and Griffin kind of have their own investigations going on. And then there are two younger kids on the show named Zoe and Wyatt, who are twins. And they are also doing some sort of investigations as well. They kind of reminded me of Maggie and Miranda from the Strangeling episode. They just had the same energy, the same enthusiasm. They're cute, but to a point, and you're just not really sure that their investigations are actually gonna bring up anything real. But
it's really funny that you saw the twins and your mind went to Maggie and Miranda for So Weird, because for me, my take on the twins was that they reminded me a lot of Augie and Ava from Girl Meets Worlds. And I know that in Girl Meets World, Augie originally was not supposed to exist. Riley was supposed to have an older brother, but then Disney made them change it because they wanted the show to appeal to a younger audience. And I feel like the twins function the same way in the show, where they're the characters who are clearly there to get a younger audience to engage with the show. I'm like, yeah, they're cute, but we could cut them out and I would not care at all.
I kind of feel the same way. They don't get on my nerves too much, but I agree that they're there to appeal to the younger crowd. You feel the same way, Billy?
Pretty much. I mean.
Yeah, so at the beginning, I was looking for those So Weird similarities. Like, oh my goodness, every little thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of like the. So, Harper's style in the early episodes, she is actually wearing UFO earrings. In a few episodes, actually. She has some of the classic pigtail buns that I always associate with Fee.
Buns.
Yes. Yeah. And she even wears butterfly clips with the pigtail buns in an episode. Someone in the clothing department or the makeup department, whoever does that, the hair department, there we go. Yeah, they're trolling me. They know that someone's looking for this kind of stuff. But yeah, I agree. As time went on, there were some episodes where I was like, yeah, it's kind of doing its own thing. But then the So Weird similarities popped up more at the end again.
All right, so a few other similarities I noticed pertain to like the special effects or the situations that they're in. Like, I forget which episode it was because I binge watched, so they all kind of blur together. But one episode has the effect of ghostly footprints, and it totally reminded me of Grave Mistakes. Like, Annie faces the exact same thing. And then there's another message given to the mom through the dusty mirror, which is exactly like Fee in Strange Geometry.
Yes.
And there's a
Yeah.
scene that takes place at a lake that did make me think of Gone Fishing, where Annie finds out that there's a lake that people once lived in. It's not too similar, but just the fact that there's a lake there kind of brought back similar vibes to me.
Yeah, and also, in the very first episode, I don't know if anybody else was also expecting faces to be popping out of those walls when they were walking down that really long hallway, but for some reason it just gave me strange geometry vibes. I was totally expecting the walls to be stretching in, like it was with
Yeah.
the.
Also, the characters do investigations, kind of like Fee, on the internet or on the microfilm at one point, even that just gave like major so weird vibes of Fee doing research of things that were happening in the past.
Yeah, that scene specifically reminds me of the episode Family Reunion, actually, where he is going through the pictures of the boat crash and
Yes.
comes across the ghost boy and
Mm-hmm.
zooms in on him. It's like it's him.
Some of the basement scenes in the first episode or two really gave off family reunion vibes with the blue lighting.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode, there were actually a few other things that reminded me of So Weird, like the opening scene where Griffin like shuts his laptop and looks out the window and into the lightning. It just
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of a similar scene in Lightning Rod.
Yeah, so there's lots of so weird similarities. I think at first when I saw the Entertainment Tonight had advertised it as, oh gosh, the first sci-fi mystery series, and also, just the advertising that I had seen for the show. I don't remember how I saw it. Maybe I searched it out, but it made it seem like there's all this spooky stuff going on. But, I felt kind of skeptical about that as the show went along. Like, I really felt like it wasn't going to build up to anything at one point. Like, I felt like, oh, this could all be explained away like a Nancy Drew mystery, where there's like some spooky ghost haunting, and oh yeah, it's really just bad lighting or whatever. I would say that actually, and I mean it's not spoilers, but you'll be surprised. If you're of that same mindset that I was in, that this isn't going to be anything supernatural in the end, I guess.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say beyond spoilery?
Griffin and Harper use code names, and their code names are my favorite thing ever.
Yes.
Oh,
I loved that too.
I don't know if this is a spoiler. It's not like spoilerly to the plot. But in the first episode where Griffin is talking about Savannah, like I don't know who she is. The way she like looks up the photo on her phone and shows it to him is like so modern day Fee. Like I can see her doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Just some other things real quick about the show in general, not necessarily so weird, but at one point I was kind of getting a little antsy watching the show. And I know I'm an adult, so I could pick up on things maybe a little quicker than some of the kids watching. But there was a point about midway through the show where I felt like there was something the kids weren't picking up on. And, I wasn't sure if they would pick up on it until the end of season 1. And then the plot actually progressed very quickly once they figured it out, what was going on. So I guess I would say there is a little part in the middle of the show that feels a little slow to me. Overall, we all enjoyed it, I guess.
Yes.
Loved it
Yeah.
so much.
So I guess we'd recommend it to anyone. I don't know. Who would you recommend this show to?
Literally everybody.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a So Weird fan.
Mm-hmm.
Even if people who were fans of Hocus Pocus, Tower
Yeah.
of Terror, anything of like the family friendly creepy vibes, like this show's for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually telling my roommate she should watch it, but I don't think she started it yet. So maybe one of these days I'll get her started on it.
One other thing I would just say is that, a good thing about the show is that it seems like it's doing well in terms of rankings. According to Deadline, Secrets of Sulphur Springs ranks as the #1 series across all basic cable with girls 6 to 11. So that's good. If you're a So Weird fan, even if you don't want to watch this show, as I mentioned on our live chat, we should hope that the show does well. If you have any interest in a So Weird reboot or whatever, any sort of continuation of So Weird, because the similarities are very apparent. And they're so apparent that Disney Plus actually included So Weird in the suggested shows section for Secrets of Sulphur Springs once it premiered on Disney Plus. And they didn't do that. They didn't include So Weird in the suggested section for any other program on Disney Plus. Even if you aren't interested in checking it out, let's all just hope that this show continues to be successful. If you would like to skip over the spoilers for our Secrets of Sulphur Springs talk, skip to the 50-minute mark. So now we're going to get into the spoilers that we've been wanting to discuss this whole time, but have had to hold off on. So what do we have to say? What's the first thing you want to talk about?
Okay, the fact that this show heavily implies that Jess and or Ben committed murder as a child. Like, sure, Molly can't be a recovering alcoholic because that's too big of an issue for Disney, but murderous parents are fine. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, this is where it gets dark. Like, it kind of exceeded my expectations and how dark the show would go.
Yeah, for sure.
The drama with the adults is just not something you're used to seeing on Disney Channel. To be fair, I haven't watched a lot of Disney Channel in recent years. I did watch Girl Meets World, but now that's several years ago. But yeah, I totally agree. I was surprised by that. I was surprised by the implication that Ben's wife, I can't remember her name.
Sarah.
What is Sarah? She seemed to think that Ben was having an affair with Jess.
Right.
Like very heavily implied. So, stuff like that really took me back.
Yeah, I feel like that was fodder for older viewers like us. Like the question of, are Ben and Jess going to have an affair? Like that feels like a subplot for the adults. Because I have spent a good part of the show like speculating on that. Because it really felt like Sarah was ready to divorce his ass at one point. We haven't gotten nearly as much character development for Sarah as we have for any other adult in this show. So she could just be written off the show and no one would care.
Yeah. I mean, I understood her viewpoint. He lied a lot to her.
Yeah.
They picked up and moved down there, and he didn't even give her the full reason why. So, yeah, I understood where she was coming from. I guess we could talk about the whole wrap up of the Savannah plotline, because I was surprised that it did wrap up as early as it did in terms of the mystery of what happened to her. So what did you all think of that?
I actually really liked it. It was not what I was expecting at all. I was kind of expecting to figure out she found the portal, especially after we figured out she was in the basement. So I was kind of figuring she got lost in the past. But I almost expected to find out she actually died in the past.
Yeah, and maybe we will find that out, that she isn't alive in modern day. I think she would be like 70 or something. I don't know. I didn't. I was surprised that it wrapped up so early, but I guess part of the reason I was surprised is because it did. The plot point I was talking about that it took them so long to figure out was that she went into the past. Like I figured that out several episodes before the kids did, and it just felt like the investigation was dragging a little bit. I was like, when are they gonna figure out she went back? It just seemed like that was the only answer that they were leaning towards. So, and then they did figure it out, and then like within the same episode they found her, didn't they? Like they went back another time in the past. They went from 1990 to 1960, and then they found her in the hotel. And there really wasn't much fanfare to it. It was just like, oh, hey, Savannah, there you are. And I'm like, hold up. This is what this whole show, the mystery of finding Savannah, and you all aren't like, Savannah. you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
do
like,
like that she
this-
got her happy ending,
Mhm.
though. Finally
This show
getting a family, even if
completely
it is.
Mhm.
subverted expectations by giving her that, though. Like,
Yeah.
I was expecting, like, she was murdered gruesomely, like, she got
Yeah.
taken out with, like, a dodgeball to the head or something at summer camp, who knows. And then it turns out that she got a fairy tale happy ending in the 60s. Like, what?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's what's keeping the show kid-friendly and Disney Channel appropriate,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I
I-
found it a little cringy.
Mm.
Yeah. I guess for me, it just, at times, it seemed like the emotional reactions of the characters didn't really correspond with the situation. So,
Yes.
Mhm.
For me,
So,
the
like-
biggest part of that was when she sends the message in the can to Ben. Like, my sister and I were both cringing when Ben reads it, and his reaction is not like, oh my god, she ran away. His reaction is one of relief, like, oh, good, the 12-year-old girl ran away, and now she's living happily out there in the world somewhere. Like, that's a
Mhm.
really optimistic viewpoint to have a 12-year-old girl who went off on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, that's true. But I guess another thing is like the very end episode with Harper meeting her dad before he dies, you know,
Right.
and her reaction talking to him. I just compare it to Fee meeting her dad, and I know it's not the same situation because Harper had already had however many years with her dad. It wasn't too many more, but
No,
you
she was
know,
like 4.
she was like 4. So I just imagine Fee meeting Rick, you know, and I guess we know that, she did, and her reaction to meeting him. And then Harper's just like, yeah, I'm going to fix this, like
Mhm.
not even, maybe she just doesn't even, I don't know, it hasn't hit her that like, oh, this is my dad. Like, wow, I haven't seen him since I was 4. It just seemed a little odd.
Yeah, because she wanted to like fix the past and.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it seemed like something Fee would do. To like go back and like be inwardly like, oh my god, I'm with him, but
Mhm.
externally be like, okay, I gotta keep cool. I can't let him know I'm from the future, otherwise he's gonna think I'm crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it is the show it's plot driven, It's driven by the mystery. It's serialized. So sometimes the show maybe doesn't give the characters time to emotionally process what's going on, I guess, because they just have so much to tell. But so how do we feel about the last episode?
I'm frustrated by the cliffhanger it ended on.
Mhm. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was like maybe like a mini series type thing where this would be like the end, but then it's not.
Yeah. When it said it was picked up for an 11 episode series or whatever, I thought it was going to be a complete story, but it wasn't at all.
Mhm.
Well, it
So,
definitely opened itself up for a season 2, and it
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of Strange Days at Blake Halsey High, where the network that they had produced it, like who produced it, was going bankrupt, so the creator of the show had their last episode be the main protagonist ending the world, so that the network that aired the show was basically guilt tripped into giving them more episodes in the form of a TV movie so that they could wrap up the plot points. So this seemed to me as a way of them kind of strong-arming Disney into being like, hey, we need more episodes here.
Yeah.
yeah. How did you all feel about the revelation of Harper's dad's death? That it really wasn't a car crash?
That was so
Uh,
profound.
Yeah.
I was kind of also frustrated by that because I'm like, why, or what was the point of Jess lying about that for so many years?
Well, that's
But
the thing. Jess didn't lie about it. Harper was the one who had said it was
Mhm.
a car accident, and that just shows that Harper was so traumatized by it because her dad died right in front of her. She was
Mhm.
yeah,
there, and she was safe on the boat. Like, think about the story that we've seen in the news with the actress from
yeah,
Glee, Naya Rivera,
I
where
did think of that.
she had
Hmm.
saved her son, but she had to die to do it. Like, if
yeah.
that was
Mhm.
you and you have memories of it, that's gonna mess you up.
Yeah.
And it would have been so much easier if her dad was like Rick and that he had died in a supernatural accident, like Jess had implied, because then you have something to blame. Like,
Yeah.
Fee could blame an evil entity from her father's
Right.
death. And, like, when you have something to blame, it kind of helps you, gives you something to channel your grief into.
Yeah.
But
That's a
Harper
good
doesn't
point.
have that. And that,
Yeah.
like, she could blame it on a driver if it was a car accident. Like, oh, we could have changed this. It was avoidable.
Mhm.
But then for it to be like, no, he had to do that because he had to save me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's so much deeper.
That's a good point.
That was very surprising to me. That's one thing. Yeah, the show surprised me. It really did with some of its, secrets. I guess I was
Yeah,
not
I don't think
expecting
anybody
that.
could have predicted that.
Which is funny because they actually did, the Disney Channel PR. I did see they sent out a picture early on in the season that was like of Harper's shoes, and it was like Harper's an artist and she paints her shoes, and the shoes give some hint into her past, and I just didn't think anything of it. But I mean, it was of, I guess, water lilies or something on her feet, and if you look around her room, she has all those paintings of being at the lake with someone that appears to be her dad, and it's just, I don't know. I wasn't expecting the show to do that, so I didn't even like theorize that deeply into it.
It
So
was definitely the twist of the century.
Yeah.
it was a really good twist, yeah. And another twist was that the ghost is not Savannah. I wasn't thinking it was Savannah ever, the ghost in the house. And we don't really know who it is. It seems to be implied at the end that it's whoever's in the rocking chair in 1930, I guess. I don't know if you all thought that too, but I think a lot of people online are still theorizing that it's Harper's dad for some reason.
Yeah, maybe we'll figure that out in season 2.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, anything else we want to say about this show?
I
Spoiler.
do have another thing to say about this show of where it goes past the line that Disney had drawn for So Weird. Can we just spend a moment on the fact that they showed a group of children at summer camp when Savannah had gone missing? They're looking on at an active rescue mission, and that rescue mission was pulling something out of the water, implied that they thought might have been her dead body out of a lake. These kids are just looking on, and only after they pulled out the item, which could have been a dead body, did they send the children away.
So messed up. Yeah, I totally picked up on that too. I was like,
Mhm.
what? Like, would they actually do this? Like, make them sit and watch? I don't know.
No way.
No, like, that was amazing. And yeah, you're right. That totally went past anything and So Weird that they would have let him do. It So Weird. I also liked that the show addressed racism at one point and how Harper, won't be able to do some of the same things as Griffin when she goes into the past just because
And how
of
Griffin is so ignorant of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was really surprising.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll have to face that in 1930. It seems like, I guess since it's Harper's family's home back then, maybe that won't be as much of an issue at the house at least. But I don't know what's going to happen with them there. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know either, but I do enjoy how they keep the time travel gimmick fresh. Like, as much as I enjoy seeing them time travel to the 90s because, ooh, the 90s, I was a kid then, I feel like that would have gotten old fast if that's all they had stuck to. So I like that they've kind of switched up the eras that they're going to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Overall, I mean, I will definitely keep watching, which I was not expecting to say getting into this show.
Yeah.
But I'm very much looking forward to whatever's to come. And Melissa, you say it may not be a while till we get the second season.
Yeah, I was reading that it might not come until like summer of next year, which is gonna suck. But I kind of have my own theory as to what the plot of the season might entail if they do have to wait that long and the kids are grown. I'm thinking that maybe there's gonna be a time jump because Harper and Griffin and Savannah get stuck in the past and can't come back for some reason. and maybe there will just be a time jump and they're gone missing in the present time and just trying to figure things out in the past.
Oh, that's a good theory. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So we asked for any fans of the So Weird podcast who had watched Secrets of Sulphur Springs to share some of their thoughts. On Twitter, Walkout Walrus said, I really liked Secrets of Sulphur Springs. Like I was watching it on Disney Plus and realized all the episodes weren't up, so I actually got a 7-day free trial of Hulu Live so I could watch the rest. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating because the episodes still aren't all up on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They are, however, all up on Disney On Demand, so if you get Disney Channel with On Demand, you can watch it that way.
Yeah, and they're also on Disney Now, so if you happen to have like Xfinity or something, you can actually use your password for like Xfinity to log in on Disney Now.
So a few people on Instagram also shared what they thought of the show. You want to read that, Melissa?
Yeah. Kay Flynn said it's good. It's nice to see them using real locations. It feels like a 90s Disney show, and I totally agree.
Yeah. They filmed in New Orleans or in Louisiana. I don't think it was New Orleans exactly, but maybe.
Okay, and then AKO Lauren Lola wrote that I've seen only a few episodes, but I'm impressed. I actually find it a little scarier than So Weird. And that's something I agree with. I feel like it's edgier than So Weird was.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the lighting of this show, maybe it's just because it's like high definition. It just doesn't look quite as gritty as So Weird. So like, I'm not as I haven't had any jumpy moments or anything that I might have had if So Weird was on today, I guess. Like, the ghost boy in the first episode, he made me jump.
I don't think it's like jump scare scary. I think it's like, oh my god, my parents might be murderers scary.
Right.
Yeah. It's a different kind of scare in this show.
Yeah.
ECYOCHIMOWITZ on Instagram said that Sulphur Springs is interesting, but wish they'd get on to the point already. So I have to assume that you have been watching on Disney Plus and are waiting for new episodes to appear on there, because I think they do get to the point.
Just wait till episode 10 or 11. They get to it very quickly at that point.
The last comment we got from Instagram, we don't seem to have the full username, but it's sweetgrass.wins said that they're thinking of watching it.
Trinity on Discord says that she watches Secrets of Sulphur Springs every Friday night, and she really enjoys it. I really enjoy the mystery that's in every episode, but I hate always being left on a cliffhanger. I completely agree.
I don't know. I really enjoyed watching it one episode at a time.
Yeah.
It gave me something to look forward to in the pandemic when there's nothing to look forward to.
Yeah, same thing with WandaVision. Like, all these three, like, it was great.
Yeah, I actually do also enjoy shows that I watch every week, just because it gives me time to really sit and think about the episodes before watching the next one. Yeah, I actually grown to really dislike the Netflix style of dropping the whole season in one day.
Yeah.
For that reason. Also on Discord, Cats and Books 8 says Sulphur Springs is the best show Disney has put out in years. It's very engaging. It reminds me of Netflix's Lock and Key in the best way. By the time it's over, I always wish it was longer. And I totally agree with that as well, especially the last part, because I was watching the episodes like one at a time, and I swear every episode felt like it was like 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really did. Yeah, so those are all our comments on Secrets of Sulphur Springs from you all. It's cool to hear that a lot of people have been watching, or at least a few of you have. Hopefully more will get into it. If not, I understand it is a Disney Channel show, but hey, So Weird was too. So.
And it's definitely the edgiest Disney has gotten since So Weird.
Would you agree with that, Billy?
I think so. Also, like Evermore kind of had some spooky like vibes in it as well, which is nice that it recommends the both of them. So yeah, you can watch that too.
We wrapped up on Secrets of Sulphur Springs, so now we're going to get into the new season, mini-series rather, of the new Are You Afraid of the Dark revival. This series was called Curse of the Shadows. Are You Afraid of the Dark is a show that a lot of So Weird fans are familiar with from the 90s. Obviously, it aired on Nickelodeon for, 7 seasons? I don't know. It was a lot. Back then, it was an anthology, and every episode focused around a story that someone in the Midnight Society would tell. And basically, there wasn't a lot of carryover from episode to episode. Each episode was kind of its own individual thing. It's a show that a lot of us know about, but the new revival takes a different spin on things. And how do you all feel about that?
Yeah, I like the new one better, even though I've only seen like an episode of the original one, but that's just because it's like older, like So Weird, but I have Disney Plus, so actually, I'm seeing So Weird, but with Are You Afraid of the Dark, it's on their new service, but I don't really need another service. But I've seen an episode once because Pluto sometimes airs it, so I went to it one time it was on, and I was like, I need to watch this a bit. So I only saw an episode, but yeah, the new one is much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're going by just one episode, it's kind of hard to judge because in the
Yeah.
original series, like every
Yeah.
episode was so different from each other.
Right.
And then also as the show went on and the cast of the Midnight Society changed, that had an impact too. But I do agree with you in that I actually prefer this version of the show better.
Yeah, because I like more time to tell the story.
Yes. They can delve deeper into the story, put more lore into each one, and I really like how they're able to flesh out the characters of the Midnight Society this way. I think that's one of the highest points of the new series for me.
Totally agree with everything you all are saying. I mean, I am nostalgic for Are You Afraid of the Dark, the original series, and I bought all of the episodes on Vudu a few years ago. There are some episodes I look back on and they still scare me, or they still remind me of how much they scared me when I was younger. Or, I still appreciate the twists in the episodes. I feel like I'm more drawn into the story in this new version and the characters. You grow to care for the characters over the season because, their personalities are so developed, and there's a lot of character growth, I guess I would say, which I always appreciate shows that are more character driven than plot necessarily. So anyway, I just wanted to say that because that actually is something that a lot of diehard Are You Afraid of the Dark fans don't really like about the new series. It seems like, at least the ones who maybe aren't giving it a fair try, basically they don't like that the show focuses on the Midnight Society. It's just not true to the spirit of the show, I guess. That's what I've heard some people say. But anyway. Yeah, the first series of the Are You Afraid of the Dark revival came out in 2019. It was just 3 episodes, and basically the story was completed by the end of the series. So there was a whole different Midnight Society in that series, and the new series is completely different cast. This series is called Curse of the Shadows.
Okay, so this season revolves around a group of children in the Midnight Society where they live in an area with the haunted woods that no children is allowed to go in after dark, otherwise they will be captured by the Shadow Man. And the new Midnight Society has their leader who has unfortunately gone missing after going into the haunted woods himself. So now it is up to the Midnight Society to find out what is haunting these woods and how do they break the curse of the shadows to free their friend.
What were your all's impressions of the series overall?
It's definitely scarier than Secrets of Sulphur Springs. More because it's like jump scares, and that's kind of like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, there are some concepts in the show that are scary as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone gets possessed at one point, similar to So Weird. When Jack gets possessed, that really freaked me out as a
They
kid.
have to perform a seance. That
Oh
Yes.
kind of reminded me
yeah,
about the episode with Annie and the Talking Board,
right.
and then also Medium with Fee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised. So around the time I watched, I guess the second episode of the Are You Afraid of the Dark series, I had recently watched The Shining, which I'd been hearing for years was like everyone's favorite horror film. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
never seen it before. And I watched it and I was like, okay, this is fun, but it's not like scary. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was all that scary. And then I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark, the second episode of the series, and something actually really scared me. I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised. And I actually tweeted that out, and then the showrunner for this season liked it. Yeah, it really is very creepy.
Yeah, I
And
would go as far as to say that this is the best iteration of the show yet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
scarier than the original, better than the first season was when it first came
Right.
out in 2019. Like, there were moments I turned to my sister and was like, this is better than the Are You Afraid of the Dark we got as kids.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel the same way at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that this was going to be 6 episodes, I was a little concerned because it's 6 episodes and it seemed like it was going to be with the same monster over 6 episodes. So it was like, how are they going to keep this up? Like at some point it's going to get old. But they kept reinventing the Shadow Man and what he was capable of and the situations that they were in. I was
Mm-hmm.
not bored once watching the show.
Not at all. Very entertaining.
Yeah.
Obviously, as the So Weird podcast, we spend a lot of time comparing shows to So Weird, but this series actually reminded me more of Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
It's early in the series where we get a clip of this young girl, Zoe, and her encounter with the Shadow Man. And it felt a lot like one of the openings for Supernatural in season 1 or 2, where you get this character who's not related to the main characters, but it kind of sets up the ghost story. Like, this season has Supernatural vibes, and I'm here for it.
Have you ever watched Supernatural, Billy?
No.
Oh, you definitely have to check it out, at least for the
Yeah.
first 5 seasons. After season
Okay.
5, it's over.
You have
It
to
Mm-hmm.
might say
watch.
there's 10 more seasons, there's not. It is over.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people say So Weird is the original Supernatural all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I particularly like that comparison, but I mean, it is fair. It's very fair. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely watch Supernatural at some point. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, I know what scene you're talking about, and that definitely did give off some Supernatural vibes. Supernatural had a lot of Monster of the Week episodes too, so there were some sequences in this series that definitely seemed like could have been in Supernatural. You were talking about how this series kind of focuses on the Midnight Society and how that's actually to its benefit. So, what do we think of the characters in this show?
I love
Mm-hmm.
how each member of the Midnight Society is given their own role to play, and it's something that's discussed throughout the series, and it's always emphasized that each role matters. Even if you think you're an insignificant side character, you're
Yeah.
not. You have the greatest power to triumph in the story. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was so powerful, and it reminded me a lot of Harry Potter in some way, in the way that the Golden Trio, like, all three of them have their strengths, and they can't do it without each other.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Every character had like a shining moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, they all have very fun personalities. It just seems like, I don't know, this is one of those shows where sometimes the cast, you just don't see them really clicking, with some shows, or it just doesn't seem believable. But here they do interact like real kids, and it seems very believable that these people could come together and stop something horrible from happening, I guess. and have that bond, that's portrayed in this show. In terms of callbacks to Are You Afraid of the Dark, did you feel like it was too much? Did you feel like it was too little, like to the original series?
I thought there was a really good balance. One of my favorite aspects of it was Mr. Sardo. I love that they had so much of the series take place with Mr. Sardo's magic shop.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
actor that they hired for Mr. Sardo was perfect in the role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know. He was one of my favorite parts for sure. I just
Yeah.
feel like, we didn't really talk about the acting in Secrets of Sulphur Springs, but the acting in both shows was really good, I thought.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Are You Afraid of the Dark? There were some times when the characters got pretty emotional, and it was all very believable to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, it didn't feel like, kiddie acting, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also loved how they mentioned on the phone Mr. Serto was talking with Mr. Vink at one point, and I was like, oh my God, I remember him. That was such a
Yeah.
nice nod. And overall, the best part has to come in the last episode where we have that flashback to Mr. Sardo's childhood and we see the original Mr. Sardo. Like the
Mhm.
actor who played Mr. Sardo in the 90s came back to reprise his role.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's Richard M. Dumont, by the way. And it was
Mhm.
such a nice surprise to see that.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. I guess that's
Mhm.
not too much of a spoiler. I don't know. Even if you hear that, you should still watch the show. I just
Yeah.
honestly, they really went there. Like they really pushed the boundaries for kids television, I feel like. Not just with the jump scares. I mean, I don't want to get into too much, but there is a death in this show. Um, a character
Mhm.
dies. I'm not going to
And
say who.
that's huge because when the original Are You Afraid of the Dark was on the air, Nickelodeon had a rule that you could not explicitly state that a child died on a TV show.
Mhm.
This character dies, and it's not like their body just magically disappears or something. Like the scene continues, and their body is in the frame for a long time. And I'm just like watching this, like, is this really on Nickelodeon? Like, is this really happening? I'm curious how kids react to this show. Are any
Mhm.
kids watching this show, or is it just the people that loved Are You Afraid of the Dark back
Maybe.
in the day?
Yeah.
Um, I hope so. The ratings for this show were not quite as good as
Yeah.
Secrets of Sulphur Springs. Unfortunately, they were kind of competing in the same
Yeah.
time
They were
slot.
at the same time, which I don't think was a good idea.
No. So this show was so scary that they actually put warnings at the end of the commercial blocks or at the beginning of the show, like this content may not be suitable for some younger audiences, I
Mhm.
guess, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, another moment that jumped out at me was at one point where the Shadow Man is hunting for Luke and he tells the rhyme of Five Little Children. And the Five Little Children tells the story of characters who have been taken out, so to speak, at this point in the story. And it was such a perfect allusion to the poem 10 Little Indians from Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None.
Hmm.
And like I think that is an illusion that would fly over kids' heads, but the poem itself is so dark and disturbing, and the way the actor delivers it is bone chilling.
Hmm. That actor in particular was excellent. I was just
Yes.
honestly so surprised by how good everyone was in the show.
Mhm.
The thing is that it really depended on their acting. Like if they were not very good actors, it would be hard to buy into it, the story, and
Mhm.
take it
Yeah.
seriously. And I definitely did because of their performances.
Mhm.
So I guess that's our spoiler-free review of the show. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say other than if you haven't watched it, I would definitely recommend you watch it. I don't know if they're going to do reruns on Nickelodeon at this point,
Mhm.
but the episodes are on the website. You have to sign in for them, I guess, with your cable provider to watch them.
Or
But
if you have cable and on demand, you can check it out on Nickelodeon On Demand.
Right.
okay, cool.
Mhm.
See, I don't have that. That's like so fancy to me. But yeah, definitely check it out. The story is so compelling. And honestly, it all wraps up. And, it is a little neat in the end. Someone else commented on that on the forum. And yeah, it is a little too perfect, maybe, but it was really satisfying, the ending, I felt.
It's definitely an enjoyable watch. You find yourself invested in the characters. You see character growth. You see all these callbacks to your old favorites like Mr. Sardo and his magic chop.
Mhm.
And a nice nod to the original opening that opens with the boat, since this Midnight Society has their meetings in the boathouse, which I
Mhm.
thought was
Yeah.
pretty cool. But this really is such a fun TV show that's darker than our original Are You Afraid of the Dark was. So
Mhm.
it's definitely worth your watch.
And because it was the Curse of the Shadows, there were a lot of times when I just wanted to sing this so weird theme song, "And the Darkness is the Light." And actually, they talked about light and darkness a
Yeah.
lot, and I was like,
Right.
uh. I don't know if it's something So Weird fans in particular will find similar to So Weird necessarily. But if you liked Are You Afraid of the Dark, definitely give the new miniseries a chance.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting into spoiler territory now for Are You Afraid of the Dark. If you don't want to hear any spoilers, skip ahead to 1:18:45.
All right, so I just want to touch on the development of Colin's character throughout the series because we don't see much of him at the beginning because he's missing, but I feel like they really delve into his character through the society's investigation into his disappearance. And throughout the beginning of the series, like, he comes off as such a jerk. Like, he seems to strike me as the type of person who thinks he's always right, acts as a leader because he takes charge of the situation, and it seems like Luke isn't able to find his footing because Colin kind of overshadows him.
Mm-hmm.
But then by the end of the series, he's learned that he's not right all the time, not to take his friends for granted, and he just seems like such a softer soul all around. Like, I really loved his character development so much in this.
I kind of agree with you. At the beginning, I was like, okay, this guy's really kind of annoying. Why did they like him so much? Why are they trying so hard to save him? Not really, but yeah, his name's Connor, right?
Oh, was it Connor? I've been calling him Colin this entire time.
Yeah, I think it's Connor. But that actor's portrayal of like being possessed by the Shadow Man and all that, it was fantastic. I've already said that, but now that we can talk about it, I mean, yeah, the scenes in the school at the glow night party when he's in that room with Gabby and he locks her in. Oh man.
Like, I had chills.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these actors have been in other things, right? Some of them have been in Nickelodeon shows before, I think. At least the guy, Luke.
Yeah, Luke was.
He was in like astronauts or something.
I think it was just the astronauts, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sure,
yeah, and he was also in A Dog's Purpose, the movie Wonder.
You know, by the end of the series, you feel kind of hopeless along with Luke because all of his friends have disappeared. And I just thought that was really bold of Nick to go that route. And just like the end of the second to last episode, you find out that Sardo has died, apparently.
Yes.
Right.
He's going to do a seance with Sardo, like, right after he died. Like, how messed up is that? Oh.
We also need to talk about how apparently it's a trend now for characters to time travel to the 90s. Because that happened in Secrets of Sulphur Springs, and it happens in Are You Afraid of the Dark too, where the girl who originally disappeared into the woods was a girl named Judy who went there in the 90s and died trying to save her family's lighthouse.
The whole backstory of the Shadow Man was just really interesting. I don't still fully... I mean, so... she's trying to save the lighthouse. Why does she feel like she has to turn it on? Like, at that point, it's already over, right?
I feel like it's more of a symbolic thing for her to, like, okay, I'm going to defy these orders. I'm going to show you we are not closing this lighthouse.
Yeah. It's just, you know, it's like, oh, that's what leads to her death. She felt like she had to go find the key that her dad threw out. It was still really interesting and compelling how her dad ended up becoming the Shadow Man. You know, he would go to whatever lengths to bring his daughter back. And I mean, in the end, it was a good plan, right? She does come back in the end. Yeah.
Not at all in the way he intended.
I know. What happened to him?
I don't think it shows us.
Yeah, which is probably for the best.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to see that this guy did something so traumatic to everyone, just got to live his life like nothing had happened. I don't know. Maybe you do, but...
Well, I think Judy would.
Yeah.
Because Judy still has no idea of what her dad did.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, the finale, the final episode, Luke speaks to Sardo and looks back into Sardo's memories kind of in the same way through the seance. You know, that kind of stuff, I don't know. At this point, I was just like, I'm loving this. I don't even care if it makes sense, you know? But there was some of that I was kind of confused about. Like, how did he figure out that they needed to use the book and how did they piece that together? Like, it explained it, but I was still a little confused, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I should rewatch it. You I was so impressed by the fact that Sardo died. I was glad that he came back in the end.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, oh man, I don't
Way to
know.
ruin a good plot point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I was happy he lived. It seems like he doesn't remember them, right? Or
They
does
left
he?
that ambiguous
Yeah.
because at first it's like he doesn't, and then at the very end when it's just him and Luke, he gives Luke a warning. I forget exactly what he said because I only watched it once, but it gives you that hint of like he does know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the end, I'm happy either way. But I was kind of hoping that he stayed dead too.
I feel the same. Like I'm glad he's back, but then it kind of diminishes his death.
Yeah, and because also the show acts like, oh, all those kids that were in the Shadow Man's like lighthouse or whatever.
Dark house.
Yeah, the dark house. Thank you. They won't be able to make it into the light. It's been too long.
I know.
Oh, that's so sad. And that
Oh my
also
God,
was
we have
like,
to talk about that scene with Zoe.
Right. I was like,
that thing where
no.
Zoe hangs back and Connor goes back for her and holds her hand and leads her into the light and she just fades away. Oh my goodness.
it was so sad.
I know.
Yes.
And then in the end, she's okay.
Yeah.
But again, I understand why it ended up being just a really happy ending. I guess I understand. The showrunner of season 2 of Are You Afraid of the Dark is named J.T. Billings, and if you look at his Instagram, one of the things he says in his Instagram profile bio is, "I don't want realism, I want magic." So, I'm not too surprised hearing that that's kind of his mindset, that that's the way he went with everyone getting a happy ending in the end.
As far as characters go, a couple points. One, I love the relationship between Hannah and her younger brother Seth. Like the way that she tricks him with holding the glass of water with the broom handle to the ceiling so that she can sneak out, and the way they both play that same prank on their mom later. Like that's just classic siblings. Like it's so funny to watch them together.
Yeah.
And I can relate to being the annoying younger sibling wanting to hang out with your older sibling's friend because that was me as a kid. So I loved Seth in this show. Yeah. And I was also so rooting for Luke and Hannah. The subplot of their crush on each other was adorable. I shipped it absolutely.
Oh. I didn't get too into that part of it. I mean, I thought it was kind of cute, but I do agree with you about Seth. So I was watching Are You Afraid of the Dark at the same time I was watching Secrets of Sulphur Springs, and I was just kind of reflecting on the fact that I was enjoying Seth's presence more in Are You Afraid of the Dark than I was the twins' presence in Secrets of Sulphur Springs. I just felt like, there was a reason for him being there, and the show made it pretty clear. He deserved to be part of the Midnight Society.
Right. He existed as part of the story, not as part of audience engagement.
Yeah, exactly.
And the difference between that is clear.
Yeah, totally.
And then also at the ending, it goes all meta when they're at the Nickelodeon and Jay finally gets a girl and they're talking about reboots versus originals. That was such a great way to end the show.
I know. I could see some people rolling their eyes at that, like it's too breaking the fourth wall or whatever.
I love it when shows break the fourth wall.
I know. I liked it too. And, I felt like it was a good point. They said the original's always better, but the reboots can be fun.
Yes.
So, I think that's something to keep in mind as so weird fans too. If we ever get a reboot, we better have fun with it and not get too, just enjoy it for what it is. I think we all actually find the reboot or the revival of Are You Afraid of the Dark to be maybe a little more compelling than the original show. Okay, we do have some comments from people who also tuned into Are You Afraid of the Dark.
All right, so this comment comes from Nate on Twitter. I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark, Curse of the Shadows, and as a huge fan of the original, I thought it was great. I thought it was some of the best children's horror in recent years. Lots of nods and references to the original show and had a really great storyline. I agree with all of that completely.
Yeah, the storyline was, it kept me drawn in more even than the season 1. Although I really liked season 1. That's the thing, is that
me too.
Season 1, when it ended, I was like, oh goodness, I really hope that they keep this cast around. I really like this Midnight Society.
Yeah, I was
Like
kind of liking it.
they're so
And then this
great.
just blew all expectations out of the water. Like, it's
Yeah.
that good.
But I'm still find myself thinking, oh, I really like this cast. Oh, I hope they don't get a new one. But at
Yeah.
the same time, if the show keeps, getting
Yep.
better and better, I mean, what can you say?
Yep.
Great comment. We didn't really get too many comments on Are You Afraid of the Dark, but on our forum, Betsy, known as Mischievous Monkey on the forum, posted a review. So I'll go ahead and read that. But Betsy, if you don't know, is also involved with the So Weird podcast. She runs a lot of our social media. She's great. So everyone give a shout out to Betsy. She's awesome. So she said, it was so good. I watched the entire series this weekend. 3 things I didn't like. The younger sibling tropes are tiresome. The romantic storylines in these shows never keep my interest. There were too many jokes about how old the 90s are. What I did love is that the girls solved their own problems with science, spoke up to adults and their friends, and even one scene, a female lead walks away from a male lead when he said something rude to her. Yay to girls who don't accept BS. Also, the boys hugged and cried together, expressed emotion without judgment, and at one point, I won't spoil why, grabbed hands. Not once did they make gay jokes or have characters exchange disgusted faces in these scenes. It meant so much to see that kind of respect and healthy friendship. I loved that Are You Afraid of the Dark didn't hold back and trusted if their audience wanted to see it because it's scary, they got what they asked for. Their overall story had some terrifying jump scares that I'm sure would have given me nightmares as a child, but I found entertaining now. And while I think the ending was too neatly wrapped, I appreciate them not forcing cliffhangers or leaving things open. It was satisfying, and I can imagine watching it during Halloween. And then she pointed out that one nerdy thing, Matt Kaplan is credited as the executive producer of the series, and that name seemed familiar. He was producer for the To All the Boys trilogy based on Jenny Han's YA books. He used to work for Awesomeness Films before finding his own production company, Ace Entertainment. That's why the two companies share production credits with Will Smith. Yes, that Will Smith's Overbrook Entertainment. Awesomeness and Overbrook were behind part 1, but because of Kaplan's position change, Awesomeness, Overbrook, and Ace share credits on parts 2 and 3. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Some really good points in there. As for the jokes from the 90s about how old the 90s are, I don't know if it's just because I didn't binge watch the show, but I didn't pick up on too much of that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But maybe if you binge watched it would be more noticeable.
Those are such good points, especially about the relationships between male characters and how it just shows healthy friendships.
Definitely. And she said that, they didn't make any gay jokes, which, I certainly appreciate as well. Just wanted to point out that J.T. Billings, the showrunner for the show, is openly gay. So it's important to have that kind of representation behind the scenes as well, because obviously that wasn't going to fly, I'm sure, for him. Thank you all for your comments.
And I hope you guys all go check out Are You Afraid of the Dark? Curse of the Shadows if you haven't already, because it is such a fun, enjoyable watch. You get sucked into these characters and their little lives. It's entertaining. It's scary at some points. It's just such an enjoyable ride.
All right, Melissa, you're welcome to come back on.
Okay, I'm on. And I'm so tempted to watch it now.
You really should. Why aren't you watching it?
I was never really into Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid, so I don't have that nostalgia to it.
You don't have to be into the original because this is nothing like it.
Yeah, it sounds like that. Maybe I will give it a shot one of these days when it's on Paramount Plus, isn't it?
Well, the first season is. I'm sure the second season will get on there eventually, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
I recently got Paramount Plus because a lot of the Nickelodeon shows I did enjoy as a kid happened to be on there, and I'm like, nostalgia for me, yes. I was more into Nickelodeon when I was like really young and into cartoons.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion, Billy. We really loved having you on.
Thank you.
Tune in, guys, keep tuned into our social media. More fun things are going to come, especially on YouTube. So if you aren't following us on YouTube, definitely do that. I think it's about time to wrap this up. We've been going on for quite a while. We're very enthusiastic about both these shows. So that's great. This has been the So Weird podcast. I'm Emily.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Kat.
I'm Billy.
Keep the faith.